And we're live. So the question we're going to be asking today, it looks like Murray and the G-Man, you guys are first to the draw there. But the question we're going to be asking today is, will it even be a Trump versus Biden in 2024? That's the question we're asking. As you can tell, Biden's poll numbers are in the tank. The Biden administration is, at least to a large portion of America, looking like a failed administration. And obviously, President Trump, whether you love him or you do not like him, he's facing one of the most damning investigations in presidential history. Not to mention, President Trump comes along with a lot of baggage. There is a reason why a man operating under a good economy and a good position failed to be reelected. And I understand some of you folks believe the election was not held properly. That's an entirely different debate. We can have that conversation. But at the end of the day, the question we're asking here is, do you believe we will see a Trump v. Biden in 2024? Trump versus Biden in 2024. Will one of those candidates choose not to run for reelection, or might both of them, Trump and Biden, might both of these candidates, they're both aging, they both have a lot of baggage, will they both decide, I would rather do something else? That is what we're talking about today. Not a Trump fan, but his loss was all personal. And looks like Marion is saying Biden won't run. So the box is open, folks, and we're going to make it happen. Financial guru. Will Trump v. Biden happen in 2024? Your financial guru, welcome back to the program. What do you think?
Howdy, sir. I
Hey,
think
welcome.
there won't be a 2024 election. How about that?
You believe the entire election will not happen?
Well, we already have 3 states in the process of decertifying their votes. There's another, and all it takes is one more, and they have to throw it all out as corrupt. All of it. It all gets thrown
So
out.
it,
Go learn about it.
okay, so in 2024, right now, the way things are slated, Biden will lead the country until 2024.
Mm-hmm.
If what you're saying comes true, as of 2024,
Mm-hmm.
who's in charge of the nation? Who's the commander in chief?
It's a great question. I wish I had an answer. If you could take the commander in chief, assuming that we went to a military lockdown, right? But I don't think it'll run that long. So what most people have a hard time getting over, and this would be the liberals that listen, and the MAGA people too, all the rest of them, there is no two-party system. There's one party, them and us. And they're both private companies. They've both rigged I ran for office twice. I tried to run as a libertarian twice. And I learned how the system's rigged. Completely rigged. So you either got to be a Democrat or Republican. Well, they've got you controlled at that point. And they make your bank for you to get beyond your starting gate. So it's all rigged. And that's going to come out July 15th, another movie. So I don't think it's going to happen. Now, people can pontificate all they want and think whatever. But everything that I've done and what I've followed for the last 4 years, if they want sauce on it, feel free to ping me in my DM. I'll provide you lots of details. But it's going to challenge America's core.
Let me stop. Okay, let me stop you. You suggested something. A movie is coming out on July 15th. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir. Correct.
The name of the movie?
I've not been given it. I just know it's coming, and I know the content. The content's going to talk about what I said. It's going to show how, in fact, the system's been rigged for a long time. I think it's because something like the Great Selection and something to that effect. And because most people assume you're electing somebody, but you don't have any say.
Give me. I
need the candidates before you pick them.
Okay,
and
fair
then they
enough.
pick the electors who determine the electoral.
Okay, fair enough. You know a movie's coming out on July 15th. You don't know the name of it. Okay, where are you hearing that a movie's coming out on July 15th?
Well, there's Kash Patel. Do you know who he is? Former defense officer. All right.
Okay.
You should learn who he is. He's around all the talking circuits now. He's mentioned it. So is Patel Patriot and a few other cats. But it's not mainstream news source. And I won't get into why you don't follow that. You should get your bits of information from all over and then use your own discernment, right? I don't have a problem that calls himself a liberal. I have a problem with someone who calls himself conservative. And I think it's such BS that they try to draw a line to make us fight each other. It's dumb. Because I think if anybody's worth half a brain, they don't want anything wrong for this country. They want the best for it.
Okay.
So that's the
Well,
case,
I
then
guess
we're in agreement,
I guess
right?
the issue I have is considering today's date, which is what? What is today's date? June what?
16th, right, of June.
Okay. So you're
So in a
talking
month.
about a right. So you're talking about what would essentially be a pretty big movie containing some serious information that is less than 29
Mhm.
days away, and the name of this movie has not been released yet.
No, 2,000 Mules wasn't either, and that had the same situation of impact. So,
Well,
but on that note, I gotta hop out fast, my man. I gotta hop out. Someone's coming up behind me
okay.
with a delivery. So we'll
All
catch
right.
you.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Enough. Now, I've never heard anything what the gentleman is saying. And I'm certainly not going to tell you that I believe anything he was saying, but I always make it clear I let folks speak. That is the purpose of the program. We can talk from different backgrounds, different dialects, and at the end of the day, you get a chance to speak. I've heard nothing he's talking about. And obviously, with 2000 Mules, we've discussed that numerous times on the program and how the Republicans, the right wingers, the protesters that were out, in force on January 6th, essentially none of the powers that be in the Republican Party is using 2000 Mules as an example of the election not being held properly. Take the liberals out of the picture. So with 2000 Mules being the know-all tell-all, I have to question why the party that would have been victimized by an inappropriately or improperly held election, the Republicans would have been the party that was victimized by improperly held election. If 2000 Mules showed the victimization, they would be the first to use 2000 Mules as an example of suggesting what they're claiming is correct. And they are not doing that. Okay, back to the comments. What had Biden done for your race, sir? Biden is the president of the United States, not the president of black people. Summer Fun 70. His job is not to do something for a particular race. That would be what we refer to as racism. Look at Bill Barr said 2000 Mules was BS too. That's a very interesting comment, Grassfed. That is true. The former Attorney General of the United States under President Trump, selected to that position by President Trump, appointed by President Trump, stated that 2000 Mules was BS. What am I supposed to do with that as a liberal? That man was delusional. He's referencing my previous caller. Just look at liberalism is cancer, says Daniel Pittman. Well, looks like you may be going into remission come the midterms, but we'll see. We'll see. Dems are regretting. Jay Bridge, I don't know where to go with that. Keep building back better. Trump was the worst president even ever in American history, says Jay Dill. The guys got some pretty interesting comments on both sides of the aisle. So, by the way, folks, tap the screen. We'll make 5,000 likes happen. There's a ton of patriots here. You know who I prefer to speak to. This is a MAGA-friendly audience, but liberals are welcome. I'm going to ask this question. This is what we're discussing. And the box is open, of course. Come on in. You can talk to your boy. Do you believe we will see a Trump versus Biden in 2024? Both of these gentlemen have a chance to run and be reelected. Will that happen? Will one of them decide, I do not want to run, I don't have a chance, I just simply would rather enjoy the sunset of my life doing something else? They're both aging. I believe Biden is about 4 years older than Trump. So neither one of these gentlemen are, neither one of them are very young. So Mike, they roll off into the sunset. Biden's numbers, his poll numbers are in the tank. Right now, judging the Biden administration, it looks so far like a failed administration. Trump, although there's a lot of support from MAGA in regards to Trump, he comes with an incredible amount of baggage, and right now he is enduring one of the most invasive investigations in presidential history. Not to mention he's already survived 2 impeachments. So will either one of these gentlemen actually decide to run in 2024? Will they both? Or will neither one of them run at all? The box is open, and that is what we're talking about. Okay, looking at the comments, Biden does not plan to run again. Feel free to elaborate on that, Odika. No, the Democratic Party will never allow Biden to run again. If I had to give my spiel on it, I think there may be some validity to that. I would not be surprised if the elite members of the Democratic Party advised Biden that for the sake of the party, it might be best if he took a back seat. And unlike Trump, I do believe Biden would be willing to listen to the power. I won't say the powers that be because he is the powers that be, but I do believe he is willing to listen to advisors a lot quicker than Trump is. Okay, here's the man, Wolverine USA. We've interesting chats. I always let this man get his point, regardless if I agree with it or not. Wolverine USA. Good afternoon.
Hey, man, I'll just let you know that my thoughts on that. I think that Biden will be back in. He's a perfect puppet. He's destroying America just like they want, just like Obama wanted to do is ride his back. So I think that'll happen.
Okay. All right. You broke up for a second. So you think Biden will run again in 2024? Do you think he'll win?
Yeah, I think he'll win. The plantation's strong, bro.
Do you think Trump will run in 2024?
I think that one I would say is going to be a dual ticket. It's going to be DeSantis and Trump, and he will run.
So you believe Trump will
But I
run
know
with DeSantis? You believe Trump will run with DeSantis
yeah,
on the ticket and Biden will beat both of them? Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he
You
will.
got to
They got the
elaborate.
ballot harvesting all wrapped up. They got all the liberal. Well, I mean,
Okay.
when you're in Washington watching the results on TV, like I said before, and
Okay.
one commercial break, everything flips. It's pretty obvious that what we got there, the voting system is a fraud. It's just like the Bible says. Um, it's going to happen
You're
again.
suggest,
They're going
you're
to
saying that
they love
you're
Biden. It's
saying that
done exactly.
you're saying that the Bible system the Bible talked about our voting system?
Yeah, it says that he puts people in place, not us. You know, and honestly, with Biden and everything, he's doing exactly what the liberals want. He's a great puppet. He's Obama's shadow, and he's doing a great job for you guys.
Okay. Let me
Why would he
let me
not?
ask Okay, okay. Let me ask you this: in regards to the election being, you mentioned ballot harvesting and all of those things. The election not being, uh, rigged is what you used. When Trump came to power,
It's
and I'll give you,
compromised. It's
okay,
compromised.
but whatever synonym you want to use, I'll give you that. I'll ask you based on your words. Let me get this out, then you give me your spiel. When Trump came to power in 2015, coming down the escalator, one of the first things he stated was the election is rigged. It's all rigged. Then in 2016, he won and immediately switched over to I won fair and square, quit bringing up Russian collusion delusion and things like that. So no one asked, how could you win a rigged election fair and square? Now, as
Well,
Trump
I think
continued to
back.
progress, hold on, hang on, let me finish. I'll let you get it. I'll give you plenty of time. But Trump won in 2016. And he was president from 2016 or January 2017 is when he got inaugurated. He was president from January 2017 to January 2021 when he stated he lost under a rigged election. Considering that he admitted or stated the election was rigged when he won, what did he do in the 4 years that he was president to protect the integrity of the election? That's what I'm asking you.
I think I don't think he did enough. I think he got caught with his pants down. I don't think anybody predicted how bad
He
it would
did.
get with the.
He, he,
What's
he
that?
predicted it. He predicted it
Yeah, I know.
himself. He said it's rigged.
Right, right. And I don't think you really don't know what you're dealing with until it manifests. I think it manifested a lot harder in the second election. And to sit here and say that nothing happened now with all this stuff that's coming out here, little pieces there. I mean, everybody knows now, man. It's not like, nobody can sit here and say it was 100%. It's like I said, when I was in Washington that night on the 5th, and we sit there and we're watching Trump destroy him, and then at 11 o'clock, a news break comes by, a commercial break, and then you come back 5 minutes later, and now all of a sudden Joe Biden has started stomping them, and then they start closing stuff, and pipes are breaking, and it just at the end of the day, that's when I lost my taste for both parties, and I said, you know what, I'm not even going to vote anymore because honestly, the Bible does say that the God puts people in place we don't, so kind of giving up on
Let
this
me
shit. It's just a
okay.
bunch
Let
of
me ask
horse
you.
rash.
Okay, fair enough. Let me ask you this question, and this is in regards to comment from Steve Blondie suggesting that if the election is rigged, why aren't the Democrats completely in control? What do you say to that?
Well, I think they had a game plan and they followed it. I don't know if they've made 100 game plans, but the main goal was they went for the big fish.
And they
And
just
then
left all.
once you do that, well, I mean,
That,
how are you're gonna, there's a lot more chances. The more tentacles you put out, the more chances are you get caught. And the more organization you need, the more money and people on board and people being quiet. So they went for the big fish, man. They got the big fish. They're not, a bandit
so
doesn't return to the scene of the crime, man. You
okay,
get your big,
let's go with your okay, fair enough. Let's go with your statement that you don't return to the scene of the crime. Why is it, and this is the same comment, another comment coming from the same gentleman. If you believe they only went for the big fish the first time and they don't return to the scene of the crime, the next step would be the midterms. Why is it the Republicans think they're going to win in the midterms if you think the election is rigged? Wouldn't you suggest that they're going to get trounced in the midterms?
No, I think that the fish is caught. They've backed it back out into the sea. These midterms and stuff like that, it really wasn't anticipated. And now that the eyes are on them, they're not going to return to the scene of the crime. It's just, you got to have a criminal mentality, which unfortunately I had when I was young. You know,
How could
but
you
they
how
got the
could you
big
say
prize. They didn't. I don't think they even thought down the road that far.
how could you suggest
But now
you're saying two.
it's like if you robbed a bank, if you rob a bank on a street corner, you're not going to go back to that corner, man. But look, I got to go. I'll hit you back. I love you guys. I appreciate you.
All right, fair enough. Okay, go. I had other questions for him. Some of the things he said left me with in fact, more questions than answers because he stated that they never anticipated the midterms. And my first response is, how long have we had midterms in the United States? How could you not anticipate that? And then he stated that they didn't plan and all. If you're savvy enough to take over a presidential election fraudulently, you're going to tell me that person is not savvy enough to expect the midterms and some of these other things? This would have to be some of the most smart, is some of the most intelligent fraudsters in the country. Yet he's making all of these rookie claims that they would make these mistakes. That just doesn't sound right to me. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but it almost sounds like the most skilled bank robber in the country, with several bank robberies under their belt, deciding to rob a bank with their own car with their own license plates on the front. It just, those two things do not go together. All right, moving on in the box. Freedom Foxtrot. Foxtrot on. We have talked before. Biden versus Trump in 2024. Is that possible? Will both of these gentlemen run? Will one, not the other, or will they both bow out? Freedom Foxtrot. Good afternoon.
I do believe Trump's going to win or run. Whether he
Okay.
wins or not, I don't know. What I'm seeing with the comments is that we have a ton of uninformed people, and like I don't even know what to say because I'm looking at the comments and I'm like, what in the fuck is
Give me
going
some
on?
examples. Give me some examples. Elaborate on your
Well,
statement.
okay, well, I mean, watch the comments right now, and we can pick
Give me
them
some
out.
examples. Give me some examples of something that blew your mind.
So someone was talking about how, well, you brought it up. The Democrats, if there was a stolen election, however it was worded, if there was a stolen election, they would be in control of everything. Well, not only do they have the House and Senate, but they also have a bunch of rhinos, right? And remember, I'm not either left or right, and I'm looking at this and I'm looking at both sides arguing. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Okay, when it
You
comes
know?
to rhinos, are you suggesting that the Democrats stole Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell? Because I know you guys call Mitch McConnell a rhino too. Are you suggesting that
They're,
the Democrats somehow converted these people?
well, I don't want to. I mean, we could speculate all day long whether they are black.
That is what we're here for. I'm here to hear your opinion.
Okay,
Speculation is okay.
okay. Well, It could be blackmail. It could be sold out. It could be a number of different things. But when you go against what your constituent, what your people want you to do, when you start doing that and start doing your own thing, either side, that's a problem.
Okay. And you
You
don't
know,
think that politicians on both sides do that regularly? Keep in mind, after the Mandalay Bay event in Las Vegas in 2017, President Trump is on video suggesting that we should take away guns from people who have mental issues, take away the guns first and do due process later. So, in other words, if I make an
yeah,
accusation that you sound like this is Trump going against his constituents. So I'm just simply saying when
yeah.
you point to people going against their constituents, this happens at all levels of government. This is not just some liberal or some rhino thing.
No, and that's what I said. It's both sides going against what their people want.
Okay.
And if I didn't say that, that's exactly the truth, right? Like
Okay.
I don't have a dog in the fight because I'm looking at both sides, seeing that there's a massive problem.
Okay. So you believe Trump will run again and Trump will win. Do you believe Biden will even run again?
So I haven't seen as much on Biden as far as people saying, "Oh, well, we think he's going to run." I am seeing people on the Trump side saying that he is thinking about it. Well, as soon as they say that they're going to run, they're under a whole different rule of law, right, with their money. So they have to be careful about when they say they're going to run.
Right.
So,
Well,
so
well,
they haven't said it for sure.
okay, in regards, you're correct. Trump is not officially stated he's going to run again, but on his own website, he's selling Trump 2024 paraphernalia. So, I mean, how much more evidence do you need? I mean, if you know you're not going to run again, and you know Americans are depending on you to come back into the nation to turn this nation around, you got some
Yeah.
pretty poor off, impoverished, and lower middle class Americans that really want Trump back to office, and they're donating their last hard earned money to the Trump campaign. If he knows he is not going to run again, do you not think that that is immoral to do that?
Yeah, well, I think he is going to run again,
Okay.
and that's just my personal opinion. I I am seeing the signs from, uh, Bannon and all them because they'll talk and they seem to think he's going to run. It's just they can't say
Well,
for sure.
you even someone like me who nobody knows who the hell I am. If I was selling handsome liberal 2024 paraphernalia, you would have to assume I plan on running for something.
Right.
I mean, he is selling equipment or selling, t-shirts and flags that indicate he's running. So you have
But
no
but
other choice but to
selling
believe he's running.
but selling things is different than telling the government that you're going to run. The second
Yeah,
you tell the government that you're going to run, you are in a whole different ballgame. And
absolutely.
there's a microscope on you.
Absolutely, from legalities, you're right. But I would
Yeah,
have to wonder if you have large campaign donors that have donated to his campaign, and he
yeah,
decides not to run in 2024, and they've purchased all of this stuff with him. I mean, because that is his campaign selling it. I kind of wonder, even though he hasn't legally stated he's going to run, would he be potentially able to be held accountable litigation wise for folks who are donating a ton of money to him? Like, I get his text messages, and he will
mhm.
sell you stuff that has Trump 2024 on it for campaign donations.
Oh, from the
Anybody making those
RNC. Yeah,
donations, huh?
from that's from the RNC, isn't it?
It's on his page. It's coming from the 80810 text message number, the same number that
Yeah.
he had when he was president. It's coming
Yep.
from him.
And
Go
just
ahead.
like both sides, they can do whatever they want. As far as privately and selling things, they can do that.
Okay. All right. But
I think
my
I
question I'm
think
asking you, I'll let you
go ahead.
continue. I'll let you continue. But my question I'm asking you is, let's say you're a big campaign donor and you believe this guy, you big oil or whatever you are, and you believe he's better for your business, and you make
Yeah.
$500,000 donation to the camp, to the Trump camp, and they in turn give you some kind of gold plaque or something that says Trump 2024 on it. Thanks for the support. And he does not run in 2024. Should you be able to sue him and get your money back?
You know, I don't think you would win just the way the laws are written, and I'm not an expert, so I could be wrong. I do, I got to be honest. I think with as much hatred as there is for Trump, I think somebody else running would be more efficient, and also probably at this point better for the country, because the way they fought Trump and the way that there's this Trump derangement, and when people say Biden has done more for the country in 1 year than Trump did in 4, that's Trump derangement syndrome. And that's what's going on in the comments right now. And I think if somebody else were to run, I think it would be better for the country because there's too much hatred.
I'm with you on it. Well, I mean, you got to understand, if I came to your job and I told your boss, hire me as a manager, and if you hire me as a manager, I will get rid of all of your shitty employees. I will drain the swamp. Just hire me. If he hires me, all of the employees at your job, nobody's going to want to work with me. I promise that if I come on, I'm going to be a snitch, and I'm going to hurt everybody in the company. I'm going to hold everybody accountable to a high regard, and I'm calling you Pocahontas. I'm calling some. I mean, you're not going to have an easy time. So when folks say, well, he got attacked since day one, or, he was hated from the start, he came in making it clear, I am going to be a hostile manager. And that's what happened. I mean, nobody wants a snitch at their place of employment. And he announced from day one that is what he was going to be. So it should be
Especially
predictable.
if you're doing illegal things and you're not doing what you're supposed to. Right?
That's fine.
If you're doing what you're supposed to, you can see which ones are doing what their countrymen want. Okay. Right? Like DeSantis. People love him, right? The people from his state, I would say a majority of them love him. You see certain governors around the country, you can see which ones are just hated by everyone and which ones are loved.
Well, DeSantis is by all means a quite effective politician, and he's not hated by so many Republicans like Trump is. Pocahontas has nothing, calling somebody Pocahontas or talking about Ted Cruz's wife, that has nothing to do with pointing out illegalities of a politician. That's just being an asshole. DeSantis is not doing it.
I agree.
Yeah, right. And DeSantis is not doing it. But listen, sir, I got to move it on. I got other folks in the box. Appreciate you coming through.
It was good talking to you again.
Absolutely. Freedom Foxtrot out. Talking to you too as well, sir. Looking at the comments, Florida, what did it say? Florida, I did not see the TikTok scrolls the comments up so damn fast. DeSantis is doing an outstanding job. I tend to agree with the way he's viewed among his constituents. Florida loves DeSantis. It looks like it's a very successful campaign down there. That administration had the most indictments, pure corruption. That looks to be true too. I'm not going to pretend like every indictment or every attack against Trump was fair. I'm just going to simply say this. When you lead by turmoil, that is what you will face. I personally would say that if we had the gas prices and the economy under Trump, and he wasn't so boisterous and insulting in his comments, they would have overlooked some of the shit that they thought was wrong, just like they do with all other politicians. Just like if you're driving down the street or something like that and you got a phone in your hand and there's a state trooper that pulls up next to you and you know you're caught dead to rights, but you wave at him or some shit like that, he might not mess with you. But when you act like an asshole constantly, you're going to encounter more difficulties. Okay, going on to the next comment. Big Ivy. Open up the box. This guy completely dodged something. I don't see what that is. DeSantis is hiding death tolls. Big Ivy, good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. Trump versus Biden in 2024. You think that'll happen?
I don't think Biden's going to be in there because he's too toxic. Everybody's running from him, don't want his endorsement. They even asked AOC if she'd want to endorse him. She wouldn't say yes. But I think
that is true.
Yeah, I don't think
that is true. What about Trump? You think Trump has any toxicity to him?
Oh yes, but he everybody would love to see him run again just for the entertainment.
Well, yours truly, your humble correspondent. I have to admit, he is excellent commentary. He's excellent content for fodder. So if he ran again, my show would sure as hell continue to be more interesting than it would under a Kamala Harris or even a Ron DeSantis campaign. So I do agree he is very good content. Everybody from CNN to Fox News have all seen their ratings dip without Trump. Without him on Twitter, I would assume even some of the folks at Twitter are like, you think we really need to get rid of this guy? This guy was really bringing in a lot of clicks and likes. But so you see no Biden, but you see Trump. If Trump were to run again, do you think he'd have a real chance of winning?
Yeah, I think he's got a good chance of winning, and I think Democrats really want to see Pence run because I think Pence would draw in some of not really Trump's people, but he'd be shown, and Democrats say, "Oh, he's seen the light, he's changed, and all this stuff." And he's gonna go
So
really good.
you're suggesting that the Democrats want to see Pence run to potentially divide the party?
Yeah,
Okay. I can agree with that. I don't know if it's from a Pence standpoint. I would probably say Liz Cheney because Liz Cheney is proving that she truly has a gripe against Trump. Pence, with all due respect to Pence, Pence has been really, I won't say patient. I will say he certainly has not he's not stood up for himself. Trump really hammered the hell out of Pence. And now with the January 6th investigation, it's looking like when they were talking about taking the life of Mike Pence, Trump apparently suggested that maybe he deserved that. So Mike Pence has really been pretty docile considering how bad Trump treated him.
yeah. Trump's just like a wallflower when he was in office. I mean, there wasn't much to him.
You mean
But I don't give
Pence?
respect.
You mean
Yeah,
Pence was
Pence,
like a wallflower? Yeah.
yeah,
I can agree with that, but I don't think Pence would make a good presidential candidate. Not right now, because I mean, Trump is literally embarrassed. Just like with Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush was the next in line for the throne, and when Trump just trounced him like that, it made you realize your hero for the Jeb Bush voters that were looking for Jeb Bush to go against Hillary Clinton. It made them realize your hero is nothing but a paper tiger. And I think Trump has done that to Ted Cruz, and now he's done that to Mike Pence. So I don't think any of those folks, at least not in the foreseeable future, would make good, strong Republican candidates because Trump came across as a superhero, like a Mr. Incredibles type guy. I don't take shit from nobody, but he
right.
delivered a lot of feces on people, and they stood by and took it. I'm talking about Republicans, not Democrats. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only person I agree with you. The only person I think could go against Trump and really win in a fair election would be Michelle Obama because she is, very well
I
loved
would.
by a lot of people.
That's a. Now, do you lean right or left? I have to ask that with a statement like that.
I sinned and I voted for Obama the first time he ran, but I'm a Trump fan.
Okay. All right. So you went MAGA both times, right?
Yeah, but I voted for
Okay.
Obama the first time
Fair,
he
and,
ran.
and this is a MAGA friendly zone. I make it clear. I tell everybody MAGA is my preferred audience, so that's not a problem. But I was just interested to hear you say Michelle Obama, and I refer to that comment oftentimes as a home run. I do believe if Michelle Obama ran, she would be exceptionally competitive, and I personally could be wrong, willing to entertain that, but I personally believe that yeah, she would beat Trump. I think the unity behind her just from knowing that the insults, just like with Biden was elected to be unifying. He has somewhat failed at that. But I think that Michelle Obama could probably give the Democratic Party a second chance that right now Biden has put in great jeopardy.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
hard for a Democrat to win.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to move it on, but before I let you go, the 2020 election, you think it was held properly?
Well, with everybody kicking poll watchers out, no, I don't.
Do you think Trump won by a landslide?
I don't want to put me on the spot like that. I know what
Okay.
everybody's going to say.
You know where you're at. Fair enough. But you know where you're at. We're going to ask those
Yeah,
questions all day, every day. You don't have to answer them. That's fine. But you're going to be
yeah,
asked that here because I always love hearing your opinions. Hey, come
yeah.
on back through anytime, Big Ivy. Good
I
conversation.
appreciate it.
All right, man. All right. Okay. That said, folks, we're going to ask. You don't have to answer. But if you're on here with your boy, it's always about free speech. I'm going to let you say whatever the hell you say, but at the end of the day, I'm going to ask. All right. What it says, has he watched January 6 hearings? You know, that's a really good question. I wish I could have asked that. My personal observation is that most of my MAGA followers, folks who tune in, my MAGA folks that, I definitely love talking to on this particular broadcast. Most of the MAGA that I've talked to, they deliberately avoided the January 6 hearings. Their minds were made up the evening of January 6th. Trump had nothing to do with it. Peaceful protests, folks just doing a tour of the Capitol building, and that was all they needed to know. Now, as evidence has begun trickling out, he's been able to convince a few of them here or there, but for the most part, my observation is that most Trump supporters have had their minds made up in regards to what took place on January 6th, a few hours after the event was over with. Okay, going back to the comments, and Sherry, I see you in there. For you folks who are getting my numbers up, getting me close to 15,000, it's definitely a pleasure. I always like seeing the likes going up. It makes me feel good, whatever. It shows some patriotism to the channel. Much love to you guys. Doesn't cost you anything. Helps out the analytics. And at the end of the day, it brings me to folks I want to talk to. Freedom Outlaws is in the box. Outlaws, let's see what's going on. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing real good. And yourself?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
That's a good way to be. That's a good way to be. So, Trump versus Biden in 2024. Will that happen?
I believe it will. I believe it
Oh,
will, all because of the scandal that took place in this last election. Uh, I've said
what
in,
is what is the scandal? Is it the election or is it January 6th?
I believe it's the election itself. In regards to January the 6th, that's the reason why everything took place. And I got to meet one of the participants in January the 6th.
Were they on the lawn or did they go in the building?
They, to my understanding, he went into the building.
Okay. Is
Uh,
he a free man?
right now, yes, he is a free man. He will be sentenced in August.
Okay.
He will
Wow.
have a sentencing hearing in August. He was from New Mexico, and I got to spend probably 4 or 5 days with him. We had in-depth conversation about uh, the events that took place. It was a peaceful protest. Uh, you know, we
Have
still
you watched have you watched any of the January 6th hearings, particularly the ones in prime time last Thursday? Have you watched any of that?
no, I haven't had time. I've been trying to get my truck back on the road. I'm an OTR driver. I drive for myself, but like I said, I haven't had time to, you know, watch these hearings. I'm really in depth with them. There's a lot of videos out there that, I'm trying to catch up on, uh, you know, but,
Okay, fair
work
enough. Fair
before
enough.
pleasure.
Fair enough. And the reason I asked you, because when you said it was a peaceful protest, they tried to present evidence that's counter to that notion. That's why I asked you about it being a peaceful protest. In regards to the guy that you met with, did he suggest that he's been reached out to from the Trump campaign at all? Because I'm wondering, with so many folks going to protest on behalf of President Trump and doing that for him, has he reached out to any of them, offered to help them out with their cases or anything?
I really haven't spoke to him. I just had to rewire my whole truck, a new wire harness, and it's taking some time and so forth. But we're getting ready to meet back up. In a few days, I will be heading back east.
Okay.
I was a participant in the People's Convoy from California to D.C.
Okay.
Uh, I supported the cause. I still support the cause. Um, we as the people have to remind the governments around the world that they work for us.
So, in other words, you don't support any politician that works for you saying such things like fuck your feelings, because at the end of the day they work for you, so no politician should be able to tell you fuck your feelings, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. All right,
You
fair
know,
enough.
we we the people pays that salary by paying our taxes and whatnot.
Okay.
And I've been able to do some research on a few things, and I came across this quote from Mark Twain, and I find it very intriguing. If voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it. And I
Whoa, whoa,
said,
whoa, whoa. So you're saying that because America has had voting since the very beginning. So you're saying our system was created on the foundation of corruption from day one?
I believe so.
Okay. Do
So
you think we're the
so
best
so
country
so
on
so
earth?
so, so we as people understand Mark Twain's IQ was very very intelligent.
Okay.
So why would he quote that quote? So it really makes me sit and think about it every day.
All right. Okay. You may be on a far you may be further right than I'm capable of venturing to. So I can't really speak on that. You're presenting a perspective I have not heard before. So, but you do believe. So, in other words, you believe that the system has been corrupt since day one. So, if the system is corrupt, there is no way Trump could have won fair and square. In other words, then, right?
Oh yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
there's no way he could. So there's no way he could be sure he even won in 2016 if the system is corrupt. Wouldn't we say that?
Right, right.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that so when the Democrats said that Hillary Clinton may have won, if the system is truly corrupt, that is quite possible.
Well, let let's date everything back. At one time in America, the popular vote won. Correct.
Before the Electoral College.
Correct.
Okay.
So when Hillary and Trump was running, she won the popular vote.
Well, how do you know if the system is corrupt? You don't know if she won. You don't know if the Electoral College. If you're saying the system is corrupt, how can you trust anything that's coming from it?
I don't. I don't.
Okay. All right.
It's like, and I want to say this too. There's two dirty wings on the same bird.
Okay. I never heard that before.
You know, I really feel like the whole system's broken. It wasn't, you know, everything that's occurring, in the last, 30, 40 years, our forefathers would turn over in their graves.
Okay. Well, let me. I get your point. Let me just make it clear. You see my video. You see what I look like. I guess, this may not resonate with you and some of my audience, but when you say how corrupt things have gotten in the last 30, 40 years, for somebody who looks like me, the last 30 or 40 years has probably been the best time in the United States history because I don't want to go back to the time you're talking about before that. But I get your point. I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word.
So at the end of the day, man, we just have to remind this government that they work for us, and things has to be different, and I'm really big on, history and so forth, and you know, and I also want to throw this out, and it might piss some people off, but I really don't give two fucks type of guy. I am. That's the type of
Okay.
guy I am.
All
So
right.
you have three great men back in the '60s:
Give me some names.
Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and John F. Kennedy.
All three got assassinated.
All three got assassinated. All
Okay.
Here's my belief: if them three men would have lived through that era, the
They would
world.
have got assassinated again. I really think so. If they had lived through that era, they would have got assassinated again. But hey, look, I gotta move it on though, man. I do gotta move it on. I appreciate you coming through.
But one more thing though:
Wrap it up. Go ahead. I give you 30 seconds.
if them three men was not assassinated, this world would be a different place that we're living in today.
I can buy that. I can buy that. Fair enough. All right, man. Appreciate you
Hey,
coming
God
through.
bless you, man. Check out some of my videos, man.
Send me some links. I got my email address on the front of the account. I promise you I will. I'll catch you next time.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. God bless you.
You too. You too. Okay. Real quick. Some of his opinions, certainly the last opinion of his with those three gentlemen, I really like that. But some of the other stuff on the election, like I told him during our conversation, he may be further to the right than I'm willing to venture on. But I always appreciate hearing the opinion of the folks. It's not about whether I agree or not. Let's go to Red Jeep. G. We don't know what the G stands for, but let's see what's on his mind today. 70% of Americans hated
Yo,
MLK. Second Red G. Appreciate you coming through.
how's it going?
70% of Americans hated MLK, says Big Bink. In fact, Martin Luther King was on the terror watch list. Obviously, what was it? Edgar Hoover, the CIA. Yeah, they were treating Martin Luther King like shit back then. So for all of the
Well, the
folks who
most hated
suggest
man ever.
yeah, for all the folks
And
who suggest you need to protest the right way, he protested the right way and they shot him in the face. Good evening or good afternoon, Reggie. What's on your mind?
yeah, well, so, first I wanted to ping on something you said earlier. I think it was about two or three callers ago. You were talking about how Trump shouldn't be allowed to take in all that money with that basically campaign, all that stuff they've been had up there since I think since 2016 they done had that stuff up there. The Trump
Very similar
2024.
to fair enough. And it's very to me, I did a video comparing Trump to Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter is currently in trouble for taking in a ton of money, having folks believe they were going to go to African American causes and they were spending it on luxury items for themselves. Trump is
Right.
kind of doing the exact same thing, particularly with the Stop the Steal movement. He apparently raised $250 million, leading folks to believe that was going to help him maintain integrity of the election for 2020 and apparently use that money for whatever the hell he wanted to, and it wasn't for that purpose. So yeah, it
And
doesn't look good. But go ahead.
I think we need to do something about that because I'm saying I voted for Obama, I voted for Bernie, I've voted all these times, and I've donated to these campaigns, and these cats drop out. Like, yo, I want my money back. Like, I didn't fucking give you money to drop out.
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Well, yeah.
like,
And I asked the previous gentleman about that. If a business donates money and you're literally selling paraphernalia that says Trump 2024 on it, you're obviously
yeah.
leading that person to believe that that money is going to your campaign. And then you jump up and say, "I decided not to run." Yeah, you should. You should have to give some of that money back. I
I,
do believe that, no matter
I'm
what
mad
side of the
because
aisle you're
Bernie
on.
got me about 3 times. At this point, I want my money back.
Oh,
Like,
well, Bernie Sanders did run though.
but so then you drop out for Hillary Clinton, then you drop out for Joe Biden, then you drop like Why are you
Well,
dropping out?
he didn't drop out. He lost. I mean, he lost to Hillary Clinton.
No, when they do their democratic thing, that's on them. But Bernie's technically a socialist. That really don't have nothing to do with him. He don't have to drop out because they ask him to.
Oh, okay. Fair. Okay. Well, let me make it clear to you. And I had a lot of arguments with my own personal family
You're
members who
gonna
were
say that
supporting.
Trump would have won, but he won anyway.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm going to say. Is that I will tell you, I had a lot of arguments with my own personal family members in regards to them voting for Bernie, believing Hillary Clinton was crooked. If Bernie Sanders did not run in 2016, I strongly believe Hillary Clinton would have won because the Bernie Sanders supporters either dropped out and didn't vote at all in the main election, and
I
some of them
didn't.
actually voted for Trump. He split the party.
The party split itself. We're blaming them. Why did they put her up? Well, why, are you gonna blame the constituents? That's ridiculous.
I'm just telling you, that's what Ross Perot is a perfect example. If Liz Cheney runs as a that happens. Splitting the ticket is a real thing. Yeah, you're going to blame
But
the constituents. That is
but
what
but it's
happens.
not. But it's not our job to uplift them. It's their job to uplift us.
Yeah, but here's the take. Most of the Bernie supporters are under the age of 40. On the women's side, we're talking young, fertile women that are now about to see Roe versus Wade get reversed. If you had let Hillary Clinton win, you would have three liberal Supreme Court justices. Maybe you didn't like Hillary Clinton, but
Yeah,
three Republican Supreme Court justices are going to be around for the rest of most of your working lives. That's how
yeah.
much damage that election caused.
Yeah, I mean, it does suck for the women. That it's not a good look. It is not a good look for them. But as somebody who we don't have no reproductive rights, so I don't really feel that bad for them. They get
Well,
to see this is what it's like for us all the time. We don't get no choice.
well, I'm just simply saying, I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, whatever. If you are a liberal, those three Republican Supreme Court justices is literally a dagger right through your heart for not. Hillary
Lifelong.
Clinton would have got all of those appointments. That is a dagger for liberal issues through and through.
Yeah, that's a lifelong L right there.
Yeah,
That is a
yeah.
lifelong L. The other thing I wanted to say was about the Trump Biden thing. I hope Biden don't run again. It is painful to see him get up there and try to talk. I am hurting. I'm actually hurting. Like this is, and I admit it was pretty bad watching Trump talk sometimes because he would just say things that are asinine. But at least he was saying things.
Do you
This
think
is just.
I wasn't
This is
expecting to go
just.
here, but you got my cheeks hurting. Do you
We
think that
gotta stop with these 80-year-olds. We gotta let it go.
he has dementia and he's starting to be out of his faculties?
It's I don't think I am absolutely certain. I'm
Damn.
absolutely certain.
And
No
you
more
vote
80
you
year olds. Everybody,
and you
please,
typically
everybody, can we agree to one thing? If they're over 78 years old, I'm giving y'all a lot of room. It's a
wait
no.
a minute. How old was Bernie Sanders when you supported his
He
ass?
old too. I'm
But
saying we
you
gotta stop.
supported him. But you
I
supported
was,
him.
but now he's 81. It's a wrap. I'm right here with y'all. I'm making the sacrifice. Y'all
All
Trumpers, y'all Bernie fans, all of us, we gotta listen. Listen. We've done it over and over again now. No more 80-year-olds. They are senile.
So
We have to stop. If
obviously,
you can't get
okay,
a job as a Walmart greeter, no president.
you killing it. You killing it. Okay, so obviously you lean left. Give me a liberal that's in your age category that you would be in favor of for 2024.
I can't say it out loud. I'm not
Come
super liberal
on,
though.
you can't
I'm
come
not
into this forum with an answer
I'm
like
not
that.
I'm not super liberal. I would say I would like to see I don't want to call it interracial parties, but like I want to see Republicans and Democrats. I would like to see AOC and DeSantis or Cruz. I want to see one of each. I don't want it to be just a.
I would like to win the Powerball. Let's come back to reality. Give me some liberals. Give me some liberals, some real shit. Who would you like to see from the liberal side of the aisle running for president?
I think I
And don't
think I
say
think
Tulsi
I
Gabbard.
think I think I love Tulsi. Tulsi is one of my favorites. I was a big Tulsi supporter. But if I had to choose a ticket, if I could pick the Democratic ticket, I would do somebody with a lot of experience like Bernie and somebody young and youthful that understands what we're going through like AOC.
Okay, you're confusing me. You just said you want younger folks, but now you go back to Bernie Sanders, he's
I
older than
think that there
Biden, isn't he?
should be experience. So, because I think the main thing that happened with Trump is that he just didn't have experience. So, I don't want to see just. I wouldn't want to send AOC in there and then just let her pick anybody. I think
What about
she would need
Elizabeth
some.
Warren? What about Elizabeth Warren? You sound
I
like
hate
you're in that
Elizabeth Warren.
area.
I think she
Huh?
might be the most corrupt politician of all time. I follow her stock
Damn,
trades,
damn.
but I think she's up there with the most corrupt of all time. Like her and Trump are like tied for corruption with me.
I don't know. You're not giving me any avenues. I feel like I'm in a corn maze with you. I don't know where to go. You told me 80 is too
There you
old,
go
but
either.
you still are stuck on Bernie Sanders. Give me somebody that you could see the light with that meets your age requirements, that meets your own requirements.
I don't think we really have anybody. I think not anybody that's in office right now. I think Keith Ellison would be a great move. I think that one governor from Michigan, what is her name, Whitmer? I
Brett
think she
Whitmer.
would be a good. I think she would be a good avenue, but I don't think they would win because as Americans, we're kind of ridiculous.
So you're essentially admitting that the Democratic Party is in shambles right now. If you're a
Yeah, absolutely.
Democrat, you lean left, and
Both
based on
parties.
what you're
No, no,
saying,
both parties. I think Trump sludge hammered the Republican Party, and the same things happen on the left side. So we just.
well, but here's the difference. I talked my most of my audience is MAGA and they lean right. You're a liberal and you think your own party is in shambles. Most right
I'm
wingers
not.
don't think that about their own party.
I'm not liberal. I'm just me.
You okay? At the end of the day, you're going to vote left. You're not going to be voting right, talking the way you're talking.
That's not true. That's not true. I don't. If Joe Biden runs again, I will vote for anybody else at this point.
Give, give me a right winger that you would be okay with seeing elected to president.
I like DeSantis. I like Ted Cruz. I like Marco Rubio. I just like people that are sensible. I like that
Okay.
are gonna ask the questions that need to be asked, that are not just gonna go along with whatever anybody says. I don't want like in the same way that I feel like AOC is not just gonna do whatever the DNC says. I want to see that on both sides.
You got to be one of the most unique voters I've ever talked to. You're everywhere. I've never seen somebody that would be okay with AOC and Ted Cruz or and Mark DeSantis.
I would
I
love that.
can't put
I
I
think
can't
that's
put a
what we
label on
need.
you at all.
I think that's what we need, though. We use these labels and we vote down party lines every single time, and it's not getting us anywhere. As a country, we are getting destroyed. We make a deal with one president, 4 years later, he's gone, and we go spend 2 years undoing everything that he's did. It's ridiculous.
All right,
And,
fair enough.
and,
All
and
right,
then
man.
we've
Well, I
had
got
a
to move it
government
on.
shutdown, what, every single year? You got one
Yeah,
job? You can't do it?
it's a lot of division out there. Okay, I got to move it on though, man. I
All
appreciate
right.
you coming through. Come
Have a
on
good one.
back through. Much love. All right, now that was one of the most unique callers I've ever encountered because I guess if I really wanted to talk to him, I should have asked him about core issues and social issues and how he feels about things because you don't normally get someone that would be okay, that is a big Bernie Sanders AOC fan and then suggest they would vote for Ted Cruz or DeSantis. So that's where it threw me off at. And I should have asked him a few core issues because how you stand on the Second Amendment, how you stand on abortion and things like that is either going to strengthen your resolve for AOC or throw her completely out of the picture. But the politics of DeSantis and AOC are on opposite ends of the spectrum. So I'd have to figure out what the hell do you care about. Okay, good afternoon, Sugarnomics. I see you in the comments there. Brenny Cole. Yes, I believe you are a new caller. New callers are welcome. What's on your mind this afternoon? Brenny Cole, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. So you've been listening to the program. I take it. What do you think?
Okay, so
Trump versus Biden in 2024 is the question. Do you think that will happen? You think that competition, Trump running for reelection versus Biden doing the same thing, do you think that will happen in 2024?
I do not think. I think Trump will attempt to run, like he will want to run. Whether or not they put up a better candidate against him and they beat him out in primary, I don't know. But I highly doubt it because he's still pulling the polling numbers the best one out of anybody on the right. Biden,
What about
however, I
Biden?
do not think is going to run. I think it's going to be probably Kamala, probably her. They'll probably run her because his polling numbers are so low, even on with left leaning polls. So
Yeah, the
they're
last,
gonna
yeah, the last
they're gonna
gentleman.
try to pull
Yeah.
somebody in. I could maybe see him run Pete Buttigieg again and all them. But yeah, I don't see him
Wow.
going again. So
Now,
his polling
do,
numbers are
do
too
you
low.
tend do you tend to lean left or right? I'm just asking.
Okay, so I'm kind of one of those centrists. I live
Okay.
in a liberal state, okay? So I
All
get it.
right.
However,
Well,
I
when you
do not
start
like a
talking,
lot of the liberal politics right now.
okay. Did you support Trump
So
in either election? Did you support Trump in either election?
I did not vote for him in 2016 because my thought was, oh my gosh, it's just another Hollywood actor up there trying to make a stunt. However, I did
Okay.
not vote for Hillary either because I did not like her. She was
All
not the
right.
woman that I thought should represent women at that time.
2020.
2020, I did because I did not like Biden after he had already been in the White House with Obama. And
Okay.
honestly, I forgot he was the vice president at that time. So I didn't vote for him either because he was just
Okay.
like kind of not there, you know?
All right. That's
So
well,
I can't really justify
Mike
that.
Pence is not. Yeah, vice presidents other than Dick Cheney, most vice presidents are not there. Mike Pence was not really there in regards to the Trump administration. He wasn't doing
Yeah,
anything
I
big
didn't.
other. Yeah, just promoting Trump.
He's not my favorite either. I don't like him either. So,
All right.
um, but I don't have like crazy political. I usually don't vote for like the crazy political. Like I voted for Obama and I voted for Trump. So,
Could you could you see yourself supporting Trump if he comes back in 2024?
yeah, I could. I could do
Okay.
it. So, however, I am more, like I said, a centrist, and I do like people that hey MOJ that know their dang job description first off, and I do think
Well,
where we can
in
give no
regard,
religious test because of the Constitution, I do feel like they need to know the Constitution a little bit more so they know their powers, and then they can't run their gums and lie to us in the as they're trying
well,
to get elected.
let me ask you this in regards to knowing their job description. Do you hold Trump accountable at all for anything that took place on January 6th?
Okay, so that would be just 1A for sure because you have the right to freedom of speech. However, you are responsible for the consequences of that freedom of speech, whether they be good or bad, if that makes sense. So,
Okay.
whether or not people feel like he incited it or not, like that's a consequence.
Do you believe he incited it?
Actually, I do not because they did breach it before he was finished speaking. So I will say that, and I don't because technically, they would have had to have somebody charged with insurrection right now, and this is how this works: as being a constitutionalist, and I mean, I was hardcore constitutionalist in this sense. To make it an insurrection, somebody would have had to be charged with insurrection, and they're not right now. Okay,
Okay.
and
All
then
right.
when they're doing these dog and pony show 1-6 hearings right now, it's just crazy to me because you know what? He was already impeached, okay, and then acquitted, so he wasn't found guilty. So now they're trying to do another thing where they're trying to put this all back on so they can try to say and give him charges and hoping the American people do not know this, that they are overstepping their powers at this sense, according to the Constitution, because they cannot take away his opportunity to run
Okay.
basically, unless he's still a government agent, and he's not. He's a private civilian right now, regardless if he's
Okay.
in the eyes of the media or what have you. He's a private citizen. So to me,
Okay.
that's an overreach of power on both sides actually, because there's
Okay.
obviously Republicans and
Fair-
Democrats in there.
Okay. I get your point. I get your point. So, do you believe, as he stated, do you believe he won the 2020 election?
Honestly, I can't say because you can't charge fraud against the government. So that's kind of just crazy to me. Like everybody keeps screaming it was fraud, it was fraud. Just like it wasn't an insurrection because we've already said he was innocent, or an incitement of it because he's innocent. It was sedition at best. Okay, on that day it was sedition at best. Okay, so you can't charge fraud against the government, either on the state or the federal level. Okay.
I've
However,
never
it
heard
does
that.
concern me on those battleground states. What concerns me, and this is strictly from the constitutional side of it, is that a lot of those states had went to court to get the mail-in ballots, like for everybody, and then the drop boxes. And I'm not saying those are a bad thing. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. So, however, if your state wants them, they need to go through the legislator because that's their law, okay? And we all know
Who
we had Zoom
decides?
back then.
Well, let me ask you this question: if let's say the states violated election laws, whose job would it be to make that official and hold them accountable for violating election laws?
The people, not Trump.
You don't.
That's where all the lawsuits failed with Trump. Okay, so when they took the lawsuits in, and he was suing on it was the people that should have brought the lawsuits because it's the people's elections. Okay, I did, to me, that was maladministration when they went to court and the judge legislated from the bench. He should have said, take it to your legislator, and then it has to go on the ballot, like in Pennsylvania. It had to go through the legislator and then put on the ballot for 2020 before they could do anything election-wise. So that was an election law violation. And to use their
Okay.
own maxims of law right here, anything done in deceit cannot be made true, and anything that is untrue is null. So if that's their case in their law that they wrote, technically you have battleground states that technically never had an election in 2020. And to me, that's not fair.
Okay. So, but wouldn't the court have to ultimately be the ones to rule that the election was not held properly?
Correct, but the wrong people brought the all the cases, all 60 of them, the wrong people brought.
So you're saying the Trump administration, which had access to literally an infinite amount of lawyers, managed
Correct.
their
He cannot
own
bring it.
campaign claims wrong?
He could not bring the lawsuit. That is correct.
Yeah. Well,
It had
then,
to be like the people of the places where the maladministration took place. So where they put
okay.
election boxes in those states and use the mail-in balloting where it technically was not allowed at the time, those people would have had to brought the court cases.
Okay. Well, if assuming everything you're saying is true, and let's assume Trump was the victor, based on your own statement, then he literally screwed his own self up. You know, the fact that his case was not presented properly, according to you, is through his own screw up. His own attorney screwed him, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
He had
Fair
really bad
enough.
attorney. And I will say that is the one thing I did not like about the Trump administration. He surrounded himself with very, whether they had ill intent towards him, I don't know. I do know that, like, to pass stuff that he needed to do, he probably had to make deals with the Republicans that did not like him, honestly. And to me, that's not good either. The people
No.
need to be holding them accountable. And when you say he was going to drain the swamp, I
Well,
heard you say this earlier.
here's
He can't do that because of his power, lack of power, and where he
here's the
stands for the
problem.
Constitution.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem when you say that he surrounded himself with people that may have not had his best interest in heart. When he
Correct.
came to power, he stated he was going to surround himself with the best, the biggest, and brightest. This is what I would submit is what happens when you put a person in as president that is not a typical politician. They make rookie mistakes. According to you and a lot of other folks who are strong Trump supporters, I don't know where your politics are, but a lot of my MAGA folks, you guys admit that the people that he specifically appointed himself, like Attorney Jim Barr and all of those folks, did not have his best interest at heart. So at the very least, you'd have to fault Trump for being a horrible person in terms of appointing people and vetting folks because they don't have these jobs
Well,
without
I'm
him
not going to say
appointing
he's a horrible person because I don't.
a horrible, okay, not a horrible person in as a human being. I mean a horrible boss in terms of selecting the right people to work with him. These are people that he appointed. His own administration is out there on the
I know.
January 6th. These are his own people. He was,
Have you heard the
according to
art of the
him,
deal? Like, literally, he probably made deals to go along to get along and get stuff done. So to even remotely have a chance, and he had to go, like he had to work with the the more geopolitical Republicans that would rather see the world stage, us on a world stage doing better than see home doing better, if that makes sense. So I understand that, and I can understand why sacrifices had to be made if he's already in, and they're just going to hold him up in court all the time. Nothing's going to get done. It's a waste of our money at that point.
Well, we're known for wasting
If
money.
the Democrats are suing him constantly, that's a waste of our tax dollars. And if he's suing them constantly, that's a waste of our tax dollars. Like, I would rather see them work together, and they were not. So there
No.
was a big, you know,
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, when you look at, and I'm not here to bash Obama. Anybody who or bash Trump rather. Folks see watch my program, and I try to call a spade and be fair. But when you look at what Trump did to Obama's campaign, suggesting he was born in another country throughout most of his administration, and then of course the name calling against liberals, it would be difficult to imagine the liberals working with the guy. You would have to assume there's going to be some consequences for the way he treated the predecessor before him, and now he's calling all of it. And it's not just Democrat senators. I mean, he said some pretty nasty things about a lot of Republican politicians. You'd have to understand there's probably going to be consequences from doing that, right?
right. But at the same time, do you know that the Obamas were actually mad at us because we, as the Obama voters, did not go out in the droves that we did for them and support Clinton?
Yeah, I
And
believe that.
and they were mad at us for it. Like, to me, that was a big slap in the face. Like, how dare you? Like,
Yeah.
you actually got him into the office, got 8 years out of the people, and you're mad because we didn't like who you all picked to put up on that pedestal enough to go out
Well,
and vote for her.
that's a much more legitimate gripe than saying the guy was born in Africa, though.
So, I mean,
You get my point. What you're saying,
correct.
yeah, you
But
being angry with them.
I don't really touch either side of that because I'm more of a constitutionalist. I'm going to tell you that I'm
Okay.
more of a constitutionalist. I tend to lean a little more right. I do have a tiny bit of socialist, like, in there, like, not even socialist, like, I would say more libertarian, to where it leans more left on some things. Like, I think all kids should have health care covered, period. Like, there should be no reason for any kid to have a medical bill, period. There should be no reason any of our vets have a medical bill, period. And they should be able to go to any hospital, and we should be okay with that. Now, if you're a grown adult, then we talk about other options. But all kids should be covered because they cannot help what their parents do, whether they are, just not there because of whatever reason, or they just are a crappy parent and can't work, or their job doesn't offer the greatest insurance. I don't think there should be a medical bill for a kid, period.
Well, as a liberal, I can agree with that, but I got to move the program on, ma'am. You're welcome back anytime.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Absolutely. Okay. That was interesting. That was very interesting. In the beginning, her politics sounded left. Then she went right, but at the end, with the health care for all children, that's certainly a left-wing tenant. So, really good call. And Brittany, whatever her name was, she's certainly welcome back anytime. Let's go over to Mike Hunter. Mike Hunter, we're an aligned corrupt politician basis. Here's Johnny. It depends on how rookie that mistake is. A rookie mistake can get us dethroned as the world superpower, like giving over your sovereignty, for instance. Mike Hunter, good afternoon.
Hey, what's up, bud? Can you hear me all right?
No, man. What's on your mind? I can hear you.
I honestly, I think that there's so many people, voters, that are just so anti-Republican, they're anti-left, anti-right, that I think that right now they've elevated Biden to, like, even though his polls are in the shitter, like that other guy was saying, he's a perfect puppet, and if they can find another face, that they can use and
Who is
manipulate,
they?
just this,
Who are they?
the Democratic Party,
But give me some names. Who's controlling Biden? Give me some actual names.
the party leader, Pelosi, But I would love to see Trump and Biden go against each other, because I think it would just be funny as hell. Just the shit that comes out of Trump's mouth, and Biden would be in there yelling, and then he'd start whispering in the mic, looking think is an ice cream cone, start licking it. You know,
What about
I think it would be
what about this
hilarious.
line? Okay, what about this line? I'm sure you heard this. Won't you shut up, man? What do you think about that one?
I don't think any of that language from either side should be in there from
All right.
either side. But I could tell you right now that it would be comic gold. I mean, the late night talk shows would have shit to joke about for like the next 4 years. If but it, I don't want Trump to run again. I think there's too much hate from from the left towards him, and it doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter what everything that he did that was good while he was in office. It doesn't matter everything that he did that was bad. They just hate him. They just hate
Right.
him. It's his mannerisms. It's the way he talks down to people, and there's really no room for that in if you're going to be into politics.
I think that's a
I
fair assumption. I think that's really fair that you said. The real quick in the comments, TikTok said Trump is still discussed because Democrats fear him. That is absolutely true. He is the top, by far, the leading Republican in the country. The support for Trump is extremely strong. Why would the Democrats ignore that guy? Of course they fear him. Go ahead, Mike.
uh, I would like to see, to be honest with you, uh, I don't know who uh, the DOJ would pick, but I would like to see DeSantis and Candace Owens.
This, I've heard that before. I think DeSantis would be an excellent pick for the right wing. In fact, I think that he would probably be the most competitive Republican to run for the ticket. Now, Candace Owens, on the other hand, I really strongly believe that she's far too inflammatory. You want a vice president that's going to kind of take a back seat, but is capable of running the country. I cannot ever see Candace Owens being a successful president of the United States. I don't She is far too controversial. Her whole claim to fame is essentially holding African Americans accountable for negativity. That's really the only reason she's actually reached the pinnacle of success that she has. It's not because of how she feels about the economy or guns or abortion. It's because she holds black people accountable for bad shit. So she would get an incredibly I would say she would get very bad numbers from African Americans. DeSantis would, because Trump did not do that bad with African Americans. She would destroy the black vote for Republicans. That would not be the best candidate to put up behind DeSantis.
That's probably true. I didn't think about it from that point
Yeah.
of view.
Yeah, I mean,
But
she's not known for anything.
I'm looking at it for who would best represent me, and it's like right now the things that I'm into, the things that I enjoy doing, like I'm not being represented at all, you know, uh,
Right.
by this administration, you know. I'm a 2A guy, but I wouldn't say that I'm hard left or hard right.
Let
I
me
lean
okay,
left, I lean
in
right.
regards to in regards to your 2A stance, raising the age from 18 to 21, would you support that?
They call it a compromise, and I would be willing to compromise, but you got to give us something back too. Like say, like remove the regulations. Find a law that didn't really affect anything. Find a law that doesn't do anything, and undo that. Like it didn't have a positive effect. It didn't accomplish, what you thought it would do. There's a lot of laws out there that regulate what type of equipment you can have on a firearm that absolutely don't do shit.
Like
Like say
well, didn't Trump ban bump stocks?
he did, and that's the thing. That's to me, as a super pro 2A guy, I see no place for a bump stock. I see no place. Why the fuck would you want a forced reset trigger? You know, I don't get it. It's just a
What about
workaround the
okay,
to the
okay, in
the
regards to
the
your
BF.
in regards to your belief that a bump stock there's no place for it. What about a 100-round drum on a handgun?
that I don't agree with that either. 17,
Okay.
17. And depending on the weapon, a 30 round for like because they make Glock magazines that hold 30 rounds. Those were never designed for a pistol. They were designed for PDW, like a
Right.
small
Exactly.
AR
Yeah.
style pistol. But because the Glock magazine is so reliable, they built that weapon around the magazine because it's such a reliable and inexpensive magazine. But if they deregulate suppressors, sure, raise it up to 21. I'm all for that. Make
Okay.
it to where it doesn't matter about an SBR. You don't have to pay a tax stamp or deregulate an SBR. I mean that's fine. Raise it up to 21. You know, because the people that put those braces on these AR pistols,
Yeah.
they're shouldering them anyway.
Right.
You know,
Well, you
and
you
I mean,
seem you seem fairly reasonable. I mean, certainly with the 100 round. I've seen these in the hood. Either folks have what they call extendos, where the long magazine that looks like a damn cane coming out of the bottom of the gun, or they have drums. And I do agree with your take. There is no legitimate reason other than to just spray lead. Just like with bump stocks, the only purpose of that is to spray lead everywhere, often with little to no accuracy. So I think you're fairly reasonable on that.
yeah, for like a PDW, for like a personal defense weapon, 30 rounds, or even that 50 round drum or whatever for the Glocks that they make. I mean, if you were legally only allowed to put it in a SBR, for home defense or property defense, because I live out southern Oklahoma and I do a lot of hunting, and we hunt for hogs and we hunt for
Yeah, okay.
coyotes. And
Yeah.
if you call in 5 coyotes, like a lot, I'll go to these ranchers and I'll go and help them out because millions, several millions, I don't know, maybe hundreds of millions, I don't know, probably not that much, but several $1 million every single year ranchers lose cattle to coyotes. And
And
I know,
I watch a lot of the coyote hunting videos on YouTube. I can agree in that case, but I'm talking about some guy walking around the streets of Manhattan with a Glock with a 100 round drum on it. Obviously,
no,
there's no
that's
hogs anywhere near that, and so
no,
I think we can agree on that.
yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's more for show, I think. That's more
it's more for
bravado.
spraying. It's more for spraying lead everywhere.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's not even practical for carrying. It's got one purpose in that scenario. But if you're using, a 10 millimeter drum mag and you're using a short barrel, AR pistol because that's what fits best in your rhino, and then you're looking at it through your thermal and you see 35 hogs, you take one shot, they're
Yeah.
gone. And you can't hunt effectively maintain for property management with 5 shots a pack of 30 hogs. They breed 3 or 4 times a year, and the piglets after 6 months they're ready to breed. I mean, and they do so much damage, probably
Yeah.
more damage to the food industry than coyotes do, to the cattle industry. They're both food,
Right.
but I know, but you know what I mean.
I'm aware. Yeah, I see I watch a lot of those YouTube videos, and I hear folks, ranchers and things like that, saying exactly what you're saying. In fact, they even have helicopter tours where they let you shoot them from the air, which looks pretty cool. So I have
It,
seen that.
yeah, the hog population is the reason why they changed the law, and they're allowing people to hunt them with, if you have a soda or you have a pre-83 fully automatic weapon, they're allowing you to use those now, and they're also putting them up in helicopters because their population is exploding.
Yeah.
The hotter
Yeah,
the
I've seen them
hotter
with
it,
the yeah, I've seen them with the trapping gates where they drop the gate down and trap hundreds of them. I mean, dozens of them. Yeah, I've seen all of that. So I do believe there's validity to what you're talking about. But at the same time, we're talking about stuff that's in far more rural areas than, the city of Chicago, where a gangbanger, is on YouTube with a 100 round drum plugged in the back of his Glock. I mean, it's a totally different atmosphere.
yeah. Yeah, that's ignorant. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. I would never condone anything like that. And I don't own anything like that. I own 30 or 40 round extended magazines, and they're just for when I either at the range or when I'm hunting, and that's it. But yeah, I would be, to your original question, I think raising it up to 21, I think that's common sense. But then you run the risk of saying, well, okay, if they're not responsible enough until the age of 21, then what about the military? Or they be allowed to go in the military at 18? And it's a different
Well,
story because the military
but here's
has
the
tons
difference.
and tons of training.
Right, exactly. That's my point. The military does not hand you a rifle and let you just walk around. In fact, even when you leave the base on leave, you can't take the rifle with you. You're under quite a bit of control when you're in the military at those ages with weapons. They don't just let you have them.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I do think that just being 21, because we all get, everybody was bullied, everybody was discriminated against. I went to like 7 different high schools from everywhere from Billings, Montana to, Podunk, Waldron,
Okay,
Arkansas.
I gotta. Hey, unfortunately, I gotta stop you. My phone is overheating, folks. I gotta
Oh,
wrap it
okay.
up. I'll be back in a little bit. Yeah, my device is overheating. It's a sunny day here. Appreciate you
Okay.
coming through.
Yeah, no
All
worry.
right.
I'll join you